Normal spit. Syrup spit.
Reality is a theory of everything. A theory that explains the very fundamental aspects of reality. Time structure constant. Basically what is needed is a theory of everything. A theory that explains the very fundamental aspects of reality. String theory, which once held. A theory that explains the very fundamental aspects of reality is a theory of everything. A theory that explains the very fundamental aspects of reality. String theory, everything. A theory that explains the very fundamental aspects of reality.
God damn it.
Theory of everything. A theory that explains the very fundamental aspects of reality. String theory, which once held a lot of promise for possibly being a successful theory of everything, has not...
Shut the goddamn video.
I want to tell you about the universe.
Street whore.
What it is, how it came to be, what its building blocks are. I want to tell you how the future creates the past, which then creates the future.
Oozy spit.
But first, I want to tell you about crystals. You might be surprised to know that a crystal isn't an expensive piece of glass or a chandelier in some fancy dining room. The word crystal simply means a pattern that is periodic. Look at this checkerboard pattern. See how it continues to spread out infinitely in each direction? That means it's a periodic pattern. So that's a two-dimensional crystal.
Come on, you slut.
This is another two-dimensional crystal. And this is another. You can also have three-dimensional crystals. By the way, this 3D glass is called crystal because its atoms are actually arranged in a crystalline pattern.
Does she have a spit effect on him? With, not quite, but with a spit effect. With a, not quite, but with a spit effect.
So, see how I'm projecting this three-dimensional crystal to a two-dimensional image on the sand? See how the 2D projection looks distorted because of the angle of the projection? That 2D image also has a pattern, but it isn't periodic. So, it's not a crystal. But there's a deep connection between the 2D object on the sand and the 3D mother crystal. This distorted 2D pattern is called a quasi-crystal. A quasi-crystal in a certain dimension, in this case 2D, is a projection of a crystal in a higher dimension, in this case 3D. A group of physicists in Los Angeles is working on a new physics theory where a particular 8D crystal, yep, that's right, an 8-dimensional crystal, is projected to 4D at a very particular angle, which forms a 4D quasi-crystal. And from this 4D quasi-crystal, they derive a 3D quasi-crystal. And from this 4D quasi-crystal,
spit with P. Hold on.
The crystal.
She
and
smells
from
like
this 4D quasi-crystal,
spit. She gave him a little extra treat. Boop.
They derive a
She smelled
3D
like spit
quasi-crystal,
popping her knuckles like that.
which they believe is the fundamental substructure of all of reality. This 3D quasi-crystal has a fundamental building block, a tetrahedron, which is a three-dimensional equilateral triangle. The size of each edge on this shape is the smallest possible length that can exist. This is called the Planck length. It's 10 to the 35 times smaller than a meter. So you know how your TV screen is broken down into building blocks called pixels? A pixel is the smallest possible indivisible unit of the 2D screen. So think of reality as your TV screen, but in 3D. And think of the tetrahedron as a 3D pixel, the smallest possible indivisible unit of reality. The tetrahedra in the quasi-crystal combine with other tetrahedra using complex mathematical rules to fill up all of the space in the universe. Each tetrahedra only has a few specific states in which it can exist at any given moment. And because of the rules of how these pixels connect to each other, if one tetrahedron is in a certain state, this dictates the states of many other tetrahedra throughout all of space. But here's the weird thing. If a certain tetrahedron can be in any one of just a few possible states in a given moment, who or what chooses the state it should be in at any given moment? Well, for such a choice to be made, we need to scientifically, mathematically, and logically bring a new element into physics. And that element is consciousness. If you're not a scientist, you might be surprised to learn that nobody actually knows the exact value of the speed of light. We have a close approximation, but not the exact value. The closest we can get to measuring it has to do with the precision of our machines. But no matter how precise our machines get, we will never be able to measure the exact speed of light without a theory that tells us what it is and why it is. And none of the current physics theories do that.
Man, look at this.
Oh look, Professor Einstein, you look so cute.
So I look pretty here?
Yes, yes.
No, wait, that's my bad side. But if I don't...
Yes, das ist gut.
What if I stick up my tongue like this?
Sehr gut.
Our best physics theories, Einstein's theory of relativity, and quantum mechanics both use the speed of light as a starting point. In other words, they use an inexact measurement of the speed of light without explaining why it is, what it is, or why the universe even has a speed limit in the first place. We need a new theory. And such a theory is what the physicists and mathematicians of quantum gravity research in Los Angeles are working on. They call it emergence theory, and it will, really for the first time ever, provide an explanation for the speed of light and the other constants, such as Planck's constant and the fine structure constant. Basically what is needed is a theory of everything. A theory that explains the very fundamental aspects of reality. String theory, which once held a lot of promise for possibly being a successful theory of everything, has not made any successful predictions. And regardless of predictions, the theory itself isn't actually a theory of everything. It's just not, because it can't explain the speed of light or the other constants. Quantum mechanics and general relativity, on the other hand, do make good predictions, but they don't explain the fundamental constants either.
Professor Einstein, why does the speed of light have the exact value that it does?
Well, to put it plainly, security!
So what clues does nature offer us for what a theory of everything should look like? We've identified 7. Information, causality loops, non-determinism, consciousness, pixelation, E8 crystal, and the golden ratio. A growing number of physicists are saying reality is made of information. What does that even mean? Well, information is meaning in the form of symbolism. A language or code provide this kind of information conveying symbolism. A very different type of symbol is one that represents itself. Geometric symbols can do that. A cube can represent love, if we say it does, or it can represent, really with minimal subjectivity, itself. Could there be a language or code made out of geometry? What type of information would such a language express? Quantum physics theory and classical physics indicate that reality is made of information, and there is no evidence that reality is made of anything other than information. Many physicists agree with this, and many don't. But those that don't agree that reality is made of information have no explanation for what reality is. If it's not information. Gentlemen?
Reality is made of information.
Nope.
Yes, it is made of information.
No.
Okay, so what is it made of if not information?
Energy.
Energy is information.
That's stupid.
Energy is the potential for a particle to change its position. Potential is information. Energy is information.
No.
It's information! Then what is it?
Not information.
And what is it?
Not information.
Reality is geometric. A geometric language in the form of geometric symbolism, the type of symbols that represent themselves, might explain how a geometric reality can be made of pure information. Information implies meaning. But what is meaning? Meaning is a comparison. That's what we do. But we do it so fast we don't realize we're doing it. We look at something and we match it to something from our database. We say, that is a crosswalk. That is a building, not a crosswalk. That is a window, not a building. So meaning is the perception of something relative to something else. So therefore meaning is subjective and requires choice. Can we get some dramatic music here? Because meaning is subjective, for it to even exist, it needs to be perceived or measured by some form of consciousness.
Well, what she said
Einstein
again?
showed how because meaning is subjective, for it to even exist, it needs to be perceived or measured by some form of consciousness. Einstein showed how the past and the future exist simultaneously in one geometric object. So all time exists all the time. Let me say that again. All time exists all the time. I know that sounds kind of weird and unintuitive, but we have to kind of suspend our common sense. And accept that mathematically, and according to the best physics formulas we have, that actually makes sense. So, let's visualize the geometric object that Einstein spoke about as a block. Remember the tetrahedra, the building block pixels of reality I told you about? Now imagine the entire universe, everything, everywhere, in one frozen moment in time. Like a single frame in a movie. In this one frame, all of reality everywhere appears frozen in this one position. Let me give you an analogy. In a movie shot on 35mm film, there are 24 frames a second. There is no actual movement in a movie. There is just a sequence of frozen frames. Now remember how I told you about the Planck length of space, which is the smallest length possible? Well, there is also a Planck length of time, and it is much shorter than 24 frames a second. In fact, it's 10 to the 44 times shorter than a second. Okay, so back to our frozen frame of reality. The entire universe in one frozen moment. One frame. But instead of a frame in a movie, it's a frame in all of reality. Now, imagine the next frame. Each frame is different from the previous one. Just like in a movie. See how all frames exist in Einstein's space-time all at once? Okay, now here's where things get really, really weird. We assume that the past influences the future. That's how we appear to experience reality. But when you look at this block, why would one side be the past and one side be the future? Why go left to right and not right to left? Why can't the future influence the past? Take away the names past and future if that helps you think of this concept. So what if the past influences the future and the future influences the past in an endless feedback loop? So then, the question is, which part of the past is influencing which part of the future and vice versa? And the answer is, all time is affecting all time, all the time.
Hi, I need a drink.
Is this even possible?
With normal spit.
Can and vice versa. Take away the names past to left.
Spit.
Why can't the future influence the past? Take away the names past and future if that helps you think of this concept. So what if the past influences the future, and the future influences the past, in an endless feedback loop? So then, the question is, which part of the past is influencing which part of the future, and vice versa? And the answer is, all time is affecting all time, all the time.
I stuck my dick in his butt
Hi, I need a drink.
and twisted like a slapped-eyed slut in China. Now fuck have been meaning
Is this
to
even
come out here.
possible?
You
Can May 20
slut.
years from now influence me now, just as I influence her? Years from now,
Spit,
influence
spit,
me
spit,
now,
spit.
just as I
Spit.
influence her? So can me 5 minutes from now
Suck
influence
my
me
motherfucking slut.
10 minutes ago, just as me 10 minutes ago influences me as a baby, just as me as a baby influences me on my deathbed?
Stupid!
This is too
I
weird to even
fuck
grasp.
this.
Everything we know says this is the way it is. Am I stoned? Okay, so if every moment is co-creating every other moment, both forward and backward in time,
I didn't
then
lose a
reality
single
would be
damn
this
pace.
massive neural network spanning space and time.
Man,
This
I
type of
fucked
network
his
would
ass.
have one even way stranger quality than anything we've talked about so far.
God damn it.
It would be its own creator. But the fact that all time exists all the time does not mean that the future is written in stone, and we're some kind of programmed animation or something. That's what they used to believe, though. Years ago, it was popular to believe in the somewhat bummer idea of reality being a deterministic program playing itself out.
Light is scattered by electrons and bounced off electrons.
The famous double-slit experiment ruled out determinism. Look it up if you've never heard of it. It's wild and is one of the cornerstones of modern physics. But for now, take my word for it. It ruled out determinism and ushered in a new era of non-determinism, or basically, free will. So, how does
Come on,
free
you
will
slut.
work?
Start the damn game.
One of the most surprising discoveries of quantum physics is that
You
reality
slut that
only
slut.
exists when it is observed. That literally, particles do not exist until they are observed. Famous physicist John Wheeler, he's the guy who came up with the term black hole, says that reality is made of information, which is created by observation. The observation must be made, he says, by something conscious. And Nobel Prize winner Frank Wilczek said that quantum theory is contentious
Now, fuck
and
up and
obscure,
over this time.
and that it
This
will
time I
remain that way
fuck your
until
fuck
someone
around this
constructs
shit.
within
I
the
didn't say,
formalism
but
of quantum
yeah, dude.
mechanics an
Now fuck up
observer,
and overlook this.
a model entity whose states correspond to a
Ah,
recognizable
fuck
caricature
this.
of conscious awareness.
You dummy.
An entity, an observer.
You big dumbass.
So Frank Wilczek is basically talking about an entity, not
That's too
necessarily a
dangerous to
human being
wear out,
or an
man. I didn't
animal,
use a single
that is
damn
capable of
piece.
generating information by observing and measuring.
Damn, I fucked this.
But what would that conscious entity be?
He needs to wipe
Well,
his
we definitely
butt.
know that consciousness exists
He
in the
needs to
universe.
wipe his
I mean,
ass.
at least in us humans, right? I mean, I'm conscious.
Okay,
You're
you don't
conscious.
move out. Put
He's
your
conscious.
black ass for Stalin, even
Think.
if you are. Now I ain't talking Joseph Stalin either. I'm talking Stalin. Spit.
Consciousness
Sir,
relates deeply to
spit.
physics in ways
She's got syrup,
not yet fully
spit.
understood.
Well,
In fact,
she had
conscious
some syrup.
relates
spit.
deeply to physics in ways.
That part of her arm right here. Syrup spit. Man, that's some good looking syrup spit. You know. with Vanessa Carlton spin.
Consciousness relates deeply to physics in ways not yet fully understood. In fact, consciousness is kind of like one of the least understood things in all of science.
Man,
Nobody knows exactly what it is. Weird, right? So if reality is pure information, if everything, energy, matter, thought, if it's all information, then it becomes clear that reality deeply ties into consciousness in some way, as if the fundamental stuff of reality is somehow consciousness. Did consciousness and information somehow emerge in a causality feedback loop? German physicist Werner Heisenberg developed the first equations of quantum mechanics using a type of math called matrix theory. He deduced that space and time were pixelated into indivisible three-dimensional Planck length units, just like the two-dimensional pixels on your computer screen.
It's good to be made of pixels.
The mathematics indicated this.
Mathematics. I love mathematics.
The pizza professor!
And pizza. Oh, I love pizza. Especially pixelated pizza.
And interestingly, there was no solid experimental evidence for smooth, in other words, not pixelated, space-time.
Pizza.
Not pixelated! Not pixelated! Pixelated!
We are not pixelated.
Not pixelated!
Yes, you are, morons.
Your maza is pixelated!
This is smooth.
There is no evidence of that. And the mathematics show it is pixelated, so it must be pixelated.
Oh, that's interesting. Bullshit.
It must be pixelated.
Bullshit, 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 bullshit.
On the other hand, most scientists agree that a length can be no shorter than the Planck length, which suggests reality is pixelated.
There is no length shorter than the Planck length.
That means reality is pixelated.
I'm not pixelated.
You're not gonna ear Margaret.
I'm not.
Dude,
Now, fuck
you're kind
you,
of being a
fool.
little like one of those people who deny evolution because they can't handle the fact their ancestors were monkeys. Are you a monkey? Huh? Are you a little monkey?
We believe that until a quantum gravity theory of pixelated spacetime is discovered, the issue will remain confusing for everyone. What type of geometric code would describe a pixelated reality?
A spit pixelated
80 years
reality.
of smashing particles together in particle... What type of geometric code would describe a pixelated reality? 80 years of smashing particles together in particle accelerators, such as the famous Large Hadron Collider in Geneva, have given us a strange clue that all the fundamental particles and forces convert into one another. Like they literally transform from one to the other, according to a process called gauge symmetry transformation. And all of these conversions correspond to a shape. And not just any shape, an 8-dimensional shape. Now this shape forms a crystal. Now remember, crystals are periodic patterns of a certain shape. Like that checkerboard is a 2D crystal made up of squares. So this crystal is of a particular 8-dimensional shape. And this crystal is known as the E8 lattice.
Now fuck even over with. Now fuck even take that photo.
To generate that 3D quasicrystal, the substructure at the pixelated fabric of reality, we project this 8D crystal to
Oh my
4D.
god, I fucked up.
And then we convert that to 3D.
Man,
Now,
that fucking
just like the
pistol.
basic cell shape of the
I'm fixing
3D
to
cubic
get my
lattice
book
is the
here.
cube, the cell shape of the E8 lattice is an 8D shape with 240 vertices. We call it
just eared
the
your
Gaussian polytope. When the Gaussian polytope is projected to 4D, it becomes two identical shapes of different sizes. The ratio of their sizes is a unique number, 0.618, also known as the golden ratio. The golden ratio may be the fundamental constant of nature. It is a ratio that is fundamental to circumscribed equilateral triangles, and it's weirdly ubiquitous in the universe, appearing everywhere from the quantum to celestial scales. Ever so interestingly, it appears in black holes.
I don't want to fly into a black hole! I wish I never realized your existence!
Now I'm thinking of sticking my dick in that hole for free!
Let's get serious for a second. Here are 3 quick facts for you science heads. The golden ratio is the precise point where a black hole's modified specific heat changes from positive to negative. And it is part of the equation for the lower bound on black hole entropy. The golden ratio even relates the loop quantum gravity parameter to black hole entropy. Why does this support the claim that the golden ratio is the fundamental constant of nature? Because a theory of everything must unite general relativity with quantum mechanics, and a black hole is where these 2 theories converge at their limits. Okay, so bear with me through some really weird math right now, and I'll reward you with some amazing footage of John Malkovich getting a pie in the face.
I touched their
There's a type of mathematics
heads.
called matrix mathematics. No, not that type of matrix.
Did she have a spit effect
There's a type of mathematics called matrix mathematics.
with a spit effect? Wait, I want to capture
There's
her
a type of
spit
mathematics
effect
called matrix mathematics. No,
I want to capture her spit
it's called
effect.
matrix mathematics.
Damn, I couldn't
No,
get a...
not that type of
Does she
matrix
have a
mathematics.
spit effect?
There's a type of mathematics called matrix mathematics. There's a type of mathematics called matrix mathematics.
God damn.
No, not that type of matrix.
God damn.
Matrix math is the type of math that quantum physics uses in its formulas. Without getting too technical, this is an example of a matrix. A matrix is just a group of numbers that are arranged in columns and rows. And there's a certain amount of combinations for these numbers inside the matrix. Like if a matrix has 4 numbers inside it, there are 24 different possible combinations for those 4 numbers. Quantum mechanics uses matrices that are binary, so they only contain various combinations of 2 numbers. Each of these combinations of numbers has a value. It's called an eigenvalue. Some eigenvalues are called trivial. These are values like 1, 2, and 0. And some are called non-trivial, and those are all sorts of more complex-looking numbers. So, here's the interesting part. Where's that interesting part? Oh, yes, here. The highest probability non-trivial eigenvalues that show up in binary matrices are, ready for this, the golden ratio and -1 over the golden ratio. So we now see a deep link between black holes and quantum mechanics because the golden ratio appears deeply in both black hole physics and in quantum mechanics. Okay. Good job bearing with me. So, here's your reward. John Malkovich getting a pie in the face.
No, no. I'm not John Malkovich.
Pie! The golden
Damn, she
ratio.
didn't have a spit effect on him.
No. I'm not John Malkovich.
Pie!
Damn, this girl would look so
The
good.
golden
if she
ratio
had a spit
appears to
effect
startling
on him.
accuracies in
If she
many
gave
other
a
ways
spit
throughout the
effect on him.
universe, in scales both large and small. It is so prevalent that its existence simply cannot be looked at as coincidental. In the past, the appearance of this ratio has usually been
Suck
ignored
my
by scientists
motherfucking
because they
slut.
had no way to explain it. So interest in it was considered the stuff of amateur scientists. But now, for the first time, a rigorous quantum gravity theory is being developed, which predicts the golden ratio's existence.
Her arm smells like
Literally
spit there. She's got
everywhere.
spit meth arms.
So what would a theory of everything look like that answers these 7 clues we just presented?
Does she look
Information,
like spit the way she
causality
said
loops, clues we just presented. So what would a theory of everything look like that answers
With the clue. She has clue spit smell.
these 7 clues we just presented?
Look at the way her arms
Information,
look when she said the word
Causality
clue.
loops, non-determinism, consciousness, pixelation, E8 crystal, and the golden ratio.
So we think reality is a mosaic-like code or language at the smallest scale of reality possible, which is called the Planck length. Particle accelerator data tells us that all particles and forces relate to one another according to a higher dimensional crystal called the E8 lattice. But reality appears to be 3D, so we project a slice of this E8 crystal down to 3D, which produces a quasi-crystal code or language. And that allows these geometric symbols to build up to the ordinary world of particles and forces that we see around us. Now, this geometric language has rules, but it also has syntactical freedom like any language. And that requires some notion of a chooser to choose the free steps in the language. Now, the notion of randomness doesn't work so well when it comes to codes because meaning starts to break down. Besides, there's no decent experimental evidence for randomness in nature in the first place. A universal collective consciousness is one answer, but that sounds New Age and religious. Now, nowadays, a good number of physicists discuss the idea that our whole universe is actually a code-based simulation in some fantastically powerful quantum computer in another universe. Now, if true, then by the same logic, that other universe, where the computer running the simulation of our universe is, would also supposedly be a simulation in another universe. So the idea is a little shaky, but it's being discussed seriously by a lot of credible people. But it turns out that a universal collective-like consciousness of some sort may be physically inevitable. Now, we don't need to anthropomorphize this idea or make it religious or spiritual. To follow why, let us start with the idea of the collective behavior of cells in your body, each a single-celled microbe living its life. A long time ago, only this sort of cellular life form existed here on Earth. These little guys were not too smart, but they did choose what direction to swim and could chase nutrients, reproduce, and run from dangerous things. They made choices with their very simple systems of environmental awareness and desire to survive. Then they self-organized into colonies that were smarter as a group and had more environmental awareness than the individuals. Eventually, animals such as humans emerged. Sophisticated forms of awareness and consciousness now float on an ocean of 37 trillion living cells, self-organized as a human being. It is specifically the laws of physics that caused electrons and quarks to self-organize into 81 stable atoms, and from there, into human consciousness. And physics places no upper limit on the amount of human merged. Sophisticated forms of awareness
she's got some spit arms.
And consciousness now float on an ocean of 37 trillion living cells, self-organized as a human being.
Ho! With their smell. With spitter smell.
Ocean of 37 trillion living cells, self-organized as a human being. It is specifically the laws of physics that caused electrons and quarks to self-organize into 81 stable atoms, and from there, into human consciousness. And physics places no upper limit on the amount of energy and matter that can self-organize into conscious systems.
Physics allows the possibility of all the energy in the universe to eventually convert into a single conscious system that is itself a network of other conscious systems, a massive, technologically based collective consciousness. Given enough time, anything that can happen will eventually happen. By this axiom, this system of universal consciousness has already emerged somewhere in the frames of space-time ahead of us.
Now,
Because it is possible,
you
it is inevitable.
stupid bitch.
In fact, according to the evidence of retrocausality time loops, that inevitable future is co-creating us right now. Just as we are co-creating it.
Stupid!
When humanity discovers the theory of everything, it will usher in a new age of prosperity. For example, clean, cheap energy, leading to the eventual elimination of poverty. As a non-profit, Quantum Gravity Research relies on crowdfunding to support our scientific progress. Even a $5 donation is meaningful and moves this mission forward. To participate in the adventure, visit quantumgravityresearch.org and click on Support Our Work. And please spread the word by sharing and posting this video and follow the journey on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Visit quantumgravityresearch.org to get more information.
You suck. You suck. Wait, is that a smelly shelly? Yeah, Emiru's cute. Don't even think about it, you slut.
Let us talk about infinity.
Oh, did she have spit arms that I miss it?
Infinity.
With pit smell. With pit smell.
Imagine
She's cute. She's cute. She's cute. She's cute.
Let us talk about infinity.
Don't even think about it, you slant-eyed whore.
Imagine opening your eyes and finding yourself surrounded by water, and you cannot remember ever not being in that water. The first question you might ask is, how did I get here? You've always been there.
Spit, man. Wow, she's
What do
got
you mean
some.
always?
Wait,
You've always been there.
she's got some spit smell arms. With pit smell. Let me see that chart.
I want to
I
tell
just
you
shit in my pants.
about the universe.
I just shit in my pants.
What it is, how it came to be, what its building blocks are. I want to tell
she's
you
got
how
some
the
spit arms too. With pit smell. Oh, you motherfucker.
Huh? Hey, honey. Did you have a bad dream again?
You goddamn motherfucker.
Me too.
Really? What was yours about?
Might have been the car crash. I forget.
How about we forget about the bad things and we think about something good? You remember what today is, right?
Wish pit smell.
Good morning, Eloise. Oh, I know, I have to get organized. Well, I almost tripped over that one again. But hey, no, I know you're so busy.
With pit smell. With pit smell. With pit smell.
Is the Cult of Dusty, or Dusty Smith, a scam artist? I know that this is old news in terms of internet, it was a couple of years old or something by now, but it's an accusation I hear against him anytime I share any one of his videos or something like that. And the answer is no. Dusty Smith might be a lot of things.
You suck my dick.
An entertaining idiot is probably the best compliment I could give him. And he is entertaining, and I agree with some of his opinions, disagree with others, but that's not the point. The point is that the argument made is that Dusty Smith is a scam artist. They're saying that he's involved in a triangle scam. A triangle scam is basically saying, okay, look, I'm selling you this share of the company for $1,000, and you'll get rich if you go about and also sell $1,000 worth of the company to other people, and then I'll have to get my cut, and the person that I bought it from will have to get their cut from, and blah blah blah. That's just how triangle scams work, I think. Well, what Dusty Smith is proposing is nothing like that. I read his book, or at least part of the beginning of it anyway, and I go through the sort of 10 or whatever steps that he has listed here. Because you have to actually put in some work in order to actually do what Dusty Smith was saying. But the only thing Dusty Smith was really actually selling was his book. He wasn't selling you anything else. He was just selling you his book, and he now gives that away for free in a PDF form. So step 1 is domain name. You just purchase a domain name, get your website, choose a server, blah blah blah. Pick a CMS program. That's something that allows you to share traffic with other people, basically. Design your site. That's some things you have to, some work you have to put in, or you have to hire somebody else to put in some of that work.
Suck my dick, bitch.
Add posted content to your website. In this case, Dusty Smith is talking about pornography videos. Right? So long as men exist, pornography is going to be in high demand. That's just a fact of life. But it could be anything, literally. It could be car reviews, but I don't think many people are going to try that to make a lot of money. Porn is probably the easiest ticket to make money with this type of money-making thing. So you put some porn on your website, and then you host other people's porn on your website, or you redirect them to other people's websites that are also having porn on it. And then you contact people on how to make agreements on how to share hosted content with one another, so that traffic can come to your channel, and then traffic can then also go to other people's channels as well. It's sort of a communal sharing thing, with no hierarchy. And monetize your website. That's exactly the same way that you make money on YouTube or with any other website that you have. And you keep all that money. You don't give it to any hierarchy. That money is yours to keep, with the exception of the cut that the IRS wants.
Suck my dick, bitch. I'm fixing to ear your rook.
That does not sound like a scam to me.
Motherfucker.
That sounds a lot more like YouTubers sharing each other's content with, like giving people a shout out, or mirroring their videos or something along those lines to try to boost the popularity of one YouTuber or another. If they want to have the popularity boosted. And then I'm doing it in return to others, and so on and so forth. That way, after you're done watching their videos, you'll go to their channel and you'll watch their videos, and you'll maybe click some of the ads that they have popped up in front of their videos. Except with what Dusty is proposing, it's with different websites instead of different videos on the same website.
What?
But other than that, there's literally
What
no
a fucking
difference.
dumbass.
The closest thing that I
What
could
a fucking dumbass.
maybe say that this would be like a cartel, where people share customers instead of compete for them. But with internet videos, it's sort of a non-competitive market.
Cause that
So it
was
wouldn't even
stupid.
qualify as that, honestly.
Cause that was pure. I fucked his hole.
So people that say that Dusty Smith is a scam artist are literally just saying it because they don't like Dusty Smith.
Idiot. The stupid idiot.
Because
Stu,
it's ideological.
stupid
They're
idiot.
ideologues.
Absent-minded.
They're sort of in a right-wing bubble, right-wing cult.
Fucker. Oh, are you too
And if there's one
butthurt to
thing I
challenge
hate
me?
more than anything, it's liars.
Will that ring of fire around your asshole not let you sit
I'm
down
putting
and
the
stuff
PDF
like
to
that
Dusty's
to your
book
butt and
that you can
twist
always
it
read
multiple times?
in the link of this video. You can check it out for yourself.
That ring of fire around your
There's
asshole,
no
burning your
multi-level
ass up. You can't sit
marketing
down,
or
nor will
whatever going on here. It's all trying
you
to
be able to
scam.
walk straight
It's
for
just
3 whole weeks. All you'll be
saying,
able to
hey,
do is lie in
go to
bed
the
and hope
website,
you're a whore
share
for
people's
Chinese
content, and they'll
wife.
share yours.
That
And then you
slut
monetize your
from
website
China.
ads. That's not a scam artist, that's actually selling people a
Is
product.
your asshole hurting? Your butt hurt? Your ass sore? For that ring of fire around your asshole from where I fucked it hard? Stupid fucking cunt. 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 I wonder if Girls Got Bible have got long. Stupid fucking cunt. Stupid fucking cunt.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and this is my husband Drew. And on this channel we talk about life and relationships after leaving the church and do some commentary on the goings on in evangelical Christianity. So in my last video I called out Girls Gone Bible. I had on someone named Jenny Neiman who's also spoken about Girls Gone Bible on TikTok, and she and I had a long interview conversation about a lot of allegations that Girls Gone Bible is facing right now, and I think I should just recap those allegations because Girls Gone Bible fans that are watching my video are obviously like not making it past like the first 5 minutes of it because they're not talking about any of the allegations.
Opens up the light
So the first one is this video of Angela. It looks like she's under the influence in the video, and just provocatively, there's girls in the background that are twerking and that kind of thing.
Oh my fucking god.
And this video was allegedly taken at the same time as, or around the same time they first started Girls Gone Bible.
She's wearing the same outfit and jewelry that she is in the first Girls Gone Bible episode.
Yeah, if you compare her outfit, her jewelry, her makeup, her hair are exactly the same in the video as their first episode of Girls Gone Bible. So it seems like she filmed these two videos probably on the same day. And why this is significant is because Angela has claimed in numerous videos on Girls Gone Bible, like even in their first video, that she's been sober for like 5 or 6 years. And in the video it appears like she's not.
Yeah, it really appears that way.
And you got for some. Oh, guys, come on. Come on. I changed my tune on here. I don't do this.
Man, get up, you filthy.
No, I don't do
Get
this
up,
type
you
of
filthy
stuff
little
anymore.
pervs.
I have a religious podcast.
Is that supposed to turn me on? It doesn't. Sluts. The whores. Girls Gone Whore. Girls Gone Whore.
The second allegation is that both Angela and Ari were apparently working as poker girls at the same time as running their Christian podcast. And if you guys are unfamiliar with poker girls, basically they're women that are hired to go to these poker clubs in like Hollywood and LA and be on the arms of these like very rich, affluent men. And a lot of the time there is some sort of sexual favors that are involved in that. And this allegation is coming from somebody that used to work with them, allegedly. And she's saying that they were doing this at the same time as starting their Christian podcast where they talk about modesty and purity and sobriety and not having sex before marriage and saving yourself and that kind of thing.
And they're saying in the podcast that they do all those things.
Yeah. The third allegation is numerous stories that Jenny has received from past fans of Girls Gone Bible. There's one woman who's claiming that she got close to specifically Angela, and she kind of opened up to Angela about her struggles with sobriety and I think self-harm. And Angela then apparently
last game. Win, lose, draw, Mitch, back and bought one, refused a rematch, or I just quit, whether the internet go out, or something trust me quick, I just quit, whatever the hell reason.
And when the girl asked her about this or called her out for it, Angela blocked her. The second story I think is a similar one where
man, I love that game where I fucked the Ring of Fire on his asshole. He could sit down and
with sobriety and
play another game. He was so butthurt, so ass.
And then she found out that maybe it's not the case, that Angela has been sober, and when she confronted Angela with that information, Angela, I guess, blocked her and then went to that girl's parole officer because I guess she had a trouble in the past where she stopped and so she had a parole officer, and Angela went to her parole officer.
Johnson and Goldrick, who went on to write for The Walking Dead and Aquaman. Return of the Thing would have brought back Johnson and Goldrick, who went on to write for The Walking Dead and Aquaman. Return of the Thing would have brought back fan favorites and new monsters for The Walking Dead and Aquaman. Return of the Thing would have played Johnson McGoldrick, who went on to write for The Walking Dead and Aquaman.
That girl.
Return of the Thing would have brought back fan favorites and new monsters in a story that gave definitive answers to Carpenter's haunting, open-ended conclusion. But what happened to cause this Sci-Fi Network miniseries to never be made? And could this sequel have ever measured up to the original? Come with me as we journey back to Outpost 41 and witness the return of the Thing.
Next!
Checkmate is always the best move.
What?
If you've been following my channel for a while, then you probably already know that I'm not just a big fan of The Thing, but the works of John Carpenter in general. And since I've already done 2 videos on The Thing, including one on John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy last year, I'll keep the movie recap to a brief. What you really need to know is that Carpenter's film for Universal Pictures was a loose adaptation of the 1938 John W. Campbell novella Who Goes There? And it was written by Bill Lancaster. Of course, there was already an adaptation of it titled The Thing from Another World in 1951.